Hello, freelance friends. I'm trying a video format for the millionth time this week. All of my videos are turning out blurry. So yeah. I feel like because I started trying to make YouTube videos, I got on the side of the algorithm that was like trying to treat YouTube like an MLM, but maybe it is an MLM because it seems like everyone who does it is telling you how to do it better, how to start, get ahead, succeed in it, etc. It's like quite the Ouroboros situation, I think. And in getting on that side of the algorithm, it was kind of good for me because it reminded me that I don't really care about getting on that side of the algorithm because actually I prefer to be real. I prefer real talk. I prefer not every video trying to sell you something or sell you on an idea or that I'm some sort of like expert specialist. While I do believe there are certain formulas or frameworks that help people structure a business or be more creative or whatever, it's really not that complicated, and it doesn't really require 50,000 videos to explain it. And I realized that when I was filming my freelance workshops because I was like, once you get through these 4 workshops for your business, you don't really need more. After that, maybe you need one-on-one help. And so I understand now why these people just sort of repeat themselves and get a little crazy. Anyways, that's not really what I wanted to talk about today. What I wanted to talk about was don't trust people that haven't failed. And so I wanted to talk about failure, about freelance failure, and there's such an obsession with success, but it doesn't talk about the cost of it most of the time. And there's also not enough, I find, people talking about failure in a way that's not all about overcoming it, or avoiding it. I think that failure is super important to... I don't even really love the word failure, but you get the point. It's super important to getting your message from the universe, literally. I think so often we're trying to follow other people's formula, or the formula that people say you're supposed to do, and what success is, etc. But everyone, once you get money, freedom, and you have to maintain this oiled machine that you've created, you very often realize either it doesn't actually make you happy, or maintaining it is quite exhausting, or it's not what you thought it was. And then you gotta start all over. So, yeah, I'm in the mood to talk about failure or failed attempts, or just all the things I've tried over the course of my career as a creative person. And there's so many things that were even before social media, and then a bunch after. But I think one of my first ever contracts I did was hair and makeup. I was a hairstylist and I did makeup training, so I did hair and makeup. And then I had a bit where I was trying to kind of be a duo with one of my best friends, being stylists. So we were doing a lot of photo shoot, and I was like, oh, what if we did styling too? I love to do too much. That didn't work, primarily because my partner in crime, wasn't really that into the idea, or was very picky and not realistic, which I see a lot in creative people. Like, your vision is here, but your skill is here. And so she was constantly getting frustrated that things weren't turning out how she wanted them to. And then after that, I thought about, actually my first iteration of Unlisted was a agency for artists. That was my concept at first. Unlisted was going to be a sort of anti-agency. And that didn't work out because here's my thing. I always put myself in these positions where I'm like trying to inspire or motivate people who just aren't really that motivated or don't really care. But those are the people I had access to, so what do you want? So that didn't work out, and then I ended up, having a salon from my own apartment, and I enjoyed that. That was great. I started my apartment and then grew it to a studio and started having team members, etc. And over 10 years, that was my entire focus. And I will tell you this, there was no specific plan or structure outside of trial and error, learning, enjoying the process, and sort of being obsessed with revising the process constantly. And that's what I think a lot of people don't talk about when they're talking about selling these frameworks, selling these formulas. They have to be tweaked constantly, because not only do customers change, but you are not going to just guess right one day just because you understand a formula. And economies change and expectations change, etc. So yeah, it was just like all consuming. And when after that closed, I took a few months to think about everything I wanted to do. I did a bunch of online classes. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do copywriting because I'm a writer at the base, I always say, in my heart. And I realized I don't necessarily love doing copywriting for business, but I think I do enjoy it. The more time goes, actually, I realize I do enjoy it. But yeah, I tried that a bit. And then I was designing Squarespace websites, basically doing consulting, which is what I'm kind of still doing now. But there's been many iterations of this. I have worked for just one company at a time, or I've taken on a few clients, which is what I'm doing now. And then now I've started this Patreon journey for freelancers with a Discord, etc. There's been many iterations, and I'm enjoying where it's going, but I still haven't fully cracked the code on the way I like to structure it and the way I need people to come in to this world, and how, the business I've created, the services I offer. Something is not completely cracked, but it's fine, because the other thing that they're not telling you or not talking about online about success and whatever is, across all success, there were years of struggle and uncertainty and change, and that is across the board, because nobody does get successful overnight without having work before. So it's part of the fucking process, and that's it. So a part of me wants to talk about failure, because if you feel failure and or you just don't feel successful, that literally means you're on the right path. In fact, you can't be on the wrong path. It doesn't even really exist, because even when your ideas don't work out or you give up, there's a fucking reason. So just trust it. Just trust it. So yeah, that's my spiel today. I hope you have a good Friday.